My brother James was married to Elle for 10 years. They had one living child at that time, my nephew Caden, teen. Elle had 5 pregnancy losses as well, and that's something I mention because it will come up later. Caden was only a kindergartner when James died. Before he died, James was awarded money for a lapse in medical care, which cost him his life ultimately. James wanted the largest part to go to Caden, and when he was sorting his estate and final wishes, he asked if I would become the caretaker of the money. He had it in a bank account but wanted to be 100% satisfied it would go to Caden alone. He said it wasn't about Elle or how much he trusted her, but she would remarry and he had no way of knowing if the man who came into their lives could be trusted. Since he wouldn't get to see Caden grow up, he wanted to secure some stability for his future. I agreed, and when he died, he left me in charge of the bank account with the money. It wasn't put into a trust or anything like that, but only I have access to it. Elle was understanding of everything at the time, and we remained on good terms for a couple of years, but then things soured a little. It was unrelated to the money, but she'd started dating someone, and when I met him, I felt something was off about him. She saw it as me not wanting her to move on, but they broke up and it turned out that I was right. However, the damage to the relationship was done. We were civil for Caden's sake after that. Elle did remarry a few years ago. Her husband has children of his own, and this is where the point of the post comes in. One of Elle's stepchildren was involved in a near-fatal accident in December while with her maternal grandparents. Elle and her husband were trying to get to her because she was out of the country, and Elle contacted me to say she needed some of Caden's money so they could go. She told me she wasn't sure how much she'd need by the time everything was sorted, but knew there would be enough to cover everything and still leave Caden with money. I told her the money was for Caden and Caden alone, and I wasn't giving her any of it. I was sorry for what they were going through, but the money needed to come from somewhere else. I spoke to Caden the same day, and he asked me not to give any of the money to her if she asked again. He said he knew his mom was going to keep asking if they didn't get money from anywhere else. I promised Caden I'd keep the money safe. I was asked again a number of times. Eventually the money came from somewhere else, but Elle and her husband ended up taking on debt because of her stepdaughter's accident. Elle is angry that I was sitting on a large sum of money for Caden and wouldn't let her use any of it for a real emergency. She said it was the wrong decision and totally callous. Am I the idiot? Edit, I realise I forgot where the lost conversation would come in, but Elle has mentioned losing 5 children to me in an attempt to guilt-trip me for not giving her access to the money. She's pointed out she lost her husband, she lost 5 children, and, in an emergency where her stepchild could have died, I refused to give her even a small portion of the money. Not the idiot at all, your brother was right about her. Your nephew lost his father for this money, and it's his safe bank, which will help him in the future with his studies and a house purchase, etc. He saw his wife's motives in the future. I hope you stay a loving uncle or aunt and never misuse money and continue to secure his future. Your sister-in-law is being selfish here. It's his money from her late husband for their kid. She can pay for her stepchild with her own bank balance. If she doesn't have one, sucks for her. Tomorrow she could divorce stepfather and the money would be lost and your nephew would be left with nothing, neither a relationship nor money. Agreed, the money is meant to provide financial stability for Caden's future, as your brother intended. It's not a general emergency fund for Elle or her family. In addition, how is her being with her stepdaughter saving the life of said daughter? You want to be there for sure, but it doesn't help in a way that you can do something, so that's just a shallow point. I was in Caden's shoes. My father died, leaving me a sum of money. Somehow my mom got access to it and almost completely screwed me over. I spent most of the money cleaning up the mess my mother made, as well as trying to help my stepmother keep a roof over my siblings' heads. That money is from his father for him to help build a stable life, not to bail other people out, even in emergencies. I do think it's quite interesting that Caden also didn't want the money to be used for that. No hesitation. He's right in the thick of it, so he sees a lot more than you do. It may be time for a private chat with him. Make sure things are okay at home, including how he's treated. You could use his future plans regarding education, training, etc. as an excuse, and if his mom tries to tag along again, it will show that she sees the money as hers. The people involved were me, 27 female, my husband Connor, 27, and his sister Sophie, 30, fake names. I feel uncomfortable with the nickname my sister-in-law calls my husband, Bubby, Bubs or Bubba. It's not inherently inappropriate, but I think it's weird for 2 grown adults. No one else in his family calls him that, just her. When I brought it up to my husband, he brushed me off, saying she's always called him that. Last night at a family dinner she used the nickname, and I guess I made a face and got quiet, which I tend to do. Later, when we were alone, she asked if something was wrong. I debated saying nothing, but figured this was my chance to address it. I told her I found it inappropriate, especially since my husband doesn't like nicknames in general. She wasn't surprised, which annoyed me, and said that as long as Connor doesn't mind, she doesn't see the issue. She also said she felt like I was implying something inappropriate, which was gross, her words. That set me off, and I regrettably made a comment about how she's been single her whole life and might be projecting onto her brother. She just started laughing and said if I'm jealous of my husband's sister, I need couples therapy. Then she said she'd ask Connor if it bothered him, and if so, she'd stop. At that point, I panicked because I didn't want this getting back to my in-laws. As she was leaving, I told her not to start drama and to handle it like adults instead of telling on me. She just rolled her eyes and said, "You made your bed." Today, she called Connor and told him everything. He said the nickname didn't bother him and that my reaction was disrespectful to his sister. He also said it made him feel like I don't see their relationship as platonic, which is disgusting. I told him I didn't think he had bad intentions, but I couldn't say the same for his sister. That just made him more upset. Now he's being cold towards me. I know I didn't handle it perfectly, but I don't get why it's such a big deal. Their insistence on keeping the nickname makes me feel like something bigger is going on. So, am I overreacting? Should I push this or do I need to drop it? You are the idiot. You forget that they're siblings who've been around each other their whole lives. You're so fixated on what is appropriate for adults that you forget that this is something a kid came up with, that they still feel that close and comfortable with using a term connected to their childhood is endearing and should be lauded and encouraged. I told her not to start drama. Do you mean the drama you started? There's nothing wrong with siblings being close to each other and sharing a deep love. There's definitely nothing wrong with siblings continuing to call each other childhood nicknames. You've got some serious issues to work through. I couldn't agree with you more, but start at the beginning. What is inappropriate about Bubby, Bubs and Bubba? It's like, where does "it's not inherently inappropriate" even come from? I just want to point out that the sister-in-law would have been more likely a toddler when she made up the nickname, or the parents helped to come up with it so she had something easier to pronounce. I call my sister Sissy, and it's stuck. I legit cannot say her name, and when I do, she knows I need her attention or something is wrong. I'm with you. OP, you are the idiot. My baby sister calls me Cupcake. I don't know why, she just does. She's now 22 and I'm 41, and she still calls me Cupcake. I let her because even though she's 22, she's still that little girl who calls me Cupcake. If anyone dared to try to tell my baby sister she couldn't call me Cupcake, it would be a problem. Also, my middle sister called me Sissy until she was like in her late 20s, and again, if anyone had anything to say, I'd rip them a new one. My sisters can call me what they want. They're my sisters. OP needs to get a damn grip. Disagree, OP's not the idiot. You didn't imply anything, you said you were uncomfortable with that nickname. She asked, too bad she didn't like the answer. Her not dealing with it with you is super immature. Also, for all the people saying you're the idiot, Bubby sounds like hubby or a short form of the word husband. It's a bit weird. I myself probably wouldn't care. That nickname predates you as they are siblings, but I don't think the way you handled the situation makes you the idiot. And I think if she asks you what it's all about, she shouldn't be starting family drama and just keep the convo between the two of you. My fiancée, 26 female, and I, 26 male, are getting married this upcoming June, and my dad is unhappy with the date. So is his wife. The reason for this unhappiness is my dad's stepkids will be spending the summer with their father as they normally do and won't be around to attend the wedding. My dad remarried when I was already an adult, and I'm not close to his wife or her kids. I rarely spend any time with them. But because I've been kind to the kids when I see them, they've bonded with me more than I have with them, and they were excited about the wedding. My dad was excited for them. He and his wife both believed I would book a date when the kids would be available. But my dad's stepkids being there is not a priority for my fiancée or for me, so we didn't plan around the custody schedule. My dad's stepkids are a young grammar schooler, a pre-tween and a tween right now. They heard about the wedding from my dad and their mom. They were looking forward to it. Apparently they were talking about how pretty it would be, and the girls were excited to wear nice dresses. Then there were tears when they found out they wouldn't be able to come. It might be suggested that my dad's wife could figure something out with her ex, but they're on bad terms and I don't think he cares much about his kids from the limited information I have. I know the kids don't look forward to seeing their dad. They've started to see my dad as their dad too, so they see me as their brother instead of stepbrother. This might or might not be relevant to the post, but I wanted to give as much info as I could so everyone can decide whether I'm an idiot or not. My dad is my only living parent. My mom died when I was 2, but my dad and I don't have the closest relationship. I love him, but I won't reschedule for his sake either, which is something I was asked about. We sent out save the dates in December, and that's when this whole conflict started. I've heard many times since then that the kids are upset and they cried about missing the wedding. My dad said it's as much about missing a chance to see me as anything because they look forward to it and I don't visit often. My dad's wife is angry because she was under the assumption I was going to embrace being an older brother and would want her kids there and would want to make them happy. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You shouldn't have to schedule your wedding around someone else's custody arrangements. Plus, if they really wanted the kids to be there and you invited them, they're the adults to ask for a few days, maybe only one day, depending on location and how long the wedding is. Adjustment to their custody schedule is up to them. Your dad and stepmother could resolve this instead of causing drama. Even if she's got a bad relationship with the ex, that's still her responsibility, not yours. Lots of parents make custody schedule adjustments to accommodate life. It sounds like your dad's wife just doesn't want to try since she and her ex don't get along and instead is putting all the pressure on you. Who asks someone to move their entire wedding because they don't want to make a phone call? Talk about entitled. The larger issue is, clearly your father is closer to his stepkids than he is to you, and he and his wife are expecting you to be part of an extended family that you're not inclined to do. For whatever reason, he did not extend the same kind of care to you that he's doing with this second family. You've been kind and loving to them anyway. Good on you. However, you have every right to nurture and care for yourself and prioritize your fiancée and her feelings. She is your family now. I, 24 female, got engaged a year ago and have been planning my wedding ever since. It's set for September and everything is already booked. Venue, caterers, photographer, the whole thing. It's been a lot of work, but my fiancé and I are so excited. Enter my older sister Rachel, 27. She just got engaged last month and at first I was super happy for her, but then she dropped a bombshell. She and her fiancé also want to get married in September. I thought she meant a different weekend, which would have been fine, but nope, she's insisting on the exact same day as my wedding. Her reasoning? She and her fiancé love the date and think it's symbolic because it's the day they first met. When I pointed out that I'd already booked everything a year ago, she just shrugged and said, "Well, we were thinking of doing a backyard wedding, so it's not like we need a venue." I told her, "Okay, but that's still the same day as my wedding and it will put a lot of pressure on our family and friends." Her response? "People can decide which one they want to attend." I was shocked. I asked her why she couldn't pick another date and she said I was being selfish for expecting her to change her plans when it was her wedding too. She had the nerve to say I should move mine because she just got engaged and needs more time to plan, whereas I have everything ready and could easily shift things around. I told her absolutely not. I'm not rescheduling my wedding just because she wants to crash my date. Now she's upset and has been telling our relatives that I'm being difficult and not willing to compromise. Our mom is caught in the middle and keeps saying, "I just want both my daughters to be happy," but I can tell she's leaning toward Rachel's side because Rachel has been guilt-tripping her hard. Some of my family members have even told me that it's not a big deal if we get married the same day and that it could be fun and unique to have 2 weddings in one day. But I think that's ridiculous. Why should I have to share one of the biggest days of my life just because my sister suddenly decided it should be hers too? Am I the idiot for refusing to change my wedding date? Mom, I love you, but I would feel extremely sad and betrayed, or insert feeling, if you abandoned the wedding I spent a year planning for my sister's last-minute one-up wedding. Not the idiot. You saved the date first. The sister is just being an entitled, spoiled brat. This. Honestly, I would tell my mom that if she missed your wedding, she would be dead to you. There's clearly the right side in this situation which your mom should support, and it's not your sister's. Plus, everyone who decides to attend your sister's wedding is telling you how they feel about her, so good riddance. I'd also let Mom know that I'd have to take a step back from our relationship if she chooses Rachel in this situation. Your immediate family has known your date for an entire year. No other consideration needs to be made. It's that cut and dried. And anyone who can't see how manipulative Rachel is, I assume this isn't the first stunt she's pulled, can have her and be the focus of her manipulations. I, 27 female, had my first baby a few months ago, and my mom, 52, has been over-the-top obsessed with being a grandmother. I expected her to be excited, but I didn't realise she saw this as her big life event. Before my son was even born, she started acting like she was gearing up to raise him alongside me. She set up a full nursery at her house, kept talking about all the weekends he'd spend with her, and told me she planned to be there for all the firsts. It was weird, but I brushed it off as excitement. Then he was born and it got worse. She constantly criticizes everything I do. If I let him nap in my arms, I'm spoiling him. If I don't bring him over enough, I'm keeping him from her. She started showing up unannounced, and if I don't let her take the baby alone, she acts hurt, like I don't trust her. The final straw was last week at a family gathering. I was holding my son when she suddenly reached for him and tried to take him out of my arms, saying I needed a break. I pulled back and told her, "I don't need a break, Mom, I got it." She looked stunned and barely spoke to me for the rest of the night. Later, she sent me this long message about how I'm denying her the grandmother experience and treating her like a stranger. Now my dad and siblings are saying I should let her be more involved because she just loves him so much. I don't want to shut her out, but I also don't want to feel like I have to share my baby and be constantly criticized. Am I being too harsh? Am I the idiot? Denying her the grandmother experience made me eye roll so hard. Ugh, not the idiot. Sorry that your mom is inserting herself into your motherhood experience. It won't be easy, but you'll need to have a heart-to-heart with her and find a happy medium, or this will only get worse. When you and your sibs were babies, did your grandmothers keep you for weekends, overnights, and at every family occasion? Your mum had her chances to parent. The baby is not a do-over baby for her. Your dad and your sibs are massively out of line. It's not your responsibility to sacrifice your experience of parenting to your mother. Let them have a spare kid to give her if they think that's how it works. Babies' needs come first, not grandma's fee-fees. OP, I'm going to lay this out for you. Your mother is stealing from you. She's trying to take your spot as the mother. She is being overbearing, selfish, and rude. Kindness is getting you nowhere. It's time to set some firm boundaries, go on an info diet, and stop answering the door for her. Put the flying monkeys on mute. They're more interested in not rocking the boat, which is not your problem.